We continue now at the top of Daf Tazayin Amud Beis Meseches Yoma. This is Yoma Daf 16b. The Gemara here is in the middle of a brisa. It's Rabbi Yehuda's opinion with regard to exactly where the Mizbeach was. The brisa continues, Eser Amos Keneged Pischo Shel Heichel. The 10 middle Amos of the Mizbeach corresponded directly to the entrance of the Heichel, and then there were Yud Aleph Amo L'Tzafon. There was 11 Amos to the north of the Pischo Shel Heichel. V'Yud Aleph Amo L'Darm, and there was another 11 Amos to the south of the Pischo Shel Heichel. Nimsa Mizbeach Mechuvan Keneged Heichel V'Kosalov. It came out that the Mizbeach was right corresponding to the door of the Heichel and its walls. Now the Gemara is suggesting, therefore, that according to Rabbi Yehuda, the Mizbeach would block the view if you tried to look through the doorway of the eastern doorway of the Har HaBayis, and therefore it could be the Mishnayos and Meseches Midos are actually Rabbi Yehuda. And so again, according to Rabbi Yehuda, since the Mizbeach was right in front of the Pesach HaHeichel, that's why it was necessary to lower that eastern wall of the Har HaBayis, and that's why in Meseches Midos, where it says you lower that wall, it was following Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. But the Gemara says it can't be. V'salka daitach midos Rabbi Yehudahi. If you really think Meseches Midos is Rabbi Yehuda, Mizbeach b'emtzo azara mi mashkachas le. Is it really true Meseches Midos that we find that the Mizbeach is in the middle of the azara, like Rabbi Yehuda says? V'atzanan, but we have the following Mishnah in Meseches Midos. The Mishnah says, Kol ha'azara hoisa orech mea u'shmonim v'sheva. The length of the azara was 187 amos. Al rochav mea u'shloshim v'chamish, and its width was 135 amos. And now the Mishnah explains, Min ha-mizrach l'mayre, from the east to the west, that's the length of the area of the Azara. Mea u'shmonim v'sheva, again it was 187. Mokum drisas ragle Yisrael yud aleph ama. The area where Yisrael were allowed to walk, that was 11 amos. Mokum drisas ragle ha-kohanim yud aleph ama. The area where the Kohanim would walk, that was yud aleph amos. It was 11 amos. Mizbeach shloshim ushtayim, and then the Mizbeach was 32 amos, and bein ha'ulam v'la Mizbeach esr mushtayim, between the ulam and the Mizbeach, that was 22. V'ha'hechel klafama, the hechel itself was 100 amos. V'yod aleph ama achorei beis ha'kaporos, and then there was another 11 amos behind the kaporos, behind the hechel, and that accounts for the length of the Azara. And then min ha'daram l'tzafon, now let's do the width from the south to the north. Mea u'shloshim v'chamish, again, that's 135 amos. So hakevesh v'hamizbeach shishim ushtayim. The ramp in the Mizbeach, that comes out to 62. Min hamizbeach v'letabos. From the Mizbeach to the rings were used where they put the animals in the rings in order to shech them. Ches amos, that was 8 amos. Makam hatabos, the place of the rings itself, esrim v'arba, that was 24 amos. Min hatabos l'shulchanos, then from the rings to the shulchanos were used to rinse the meat. Arba, that's going to be another 4. Min ha-shulchanos l'nanosin, from the shulchanos to the nanosin were the pillars where they suspended the animals in order to flay them. Arba, that's another 4. Min ha-nanosin l'kosal azara ches amos, then from the nanosin to the wall of the Azara is 8 amos, and the total until this point is 110 amos out of the 135 amos of this width. V'hamoser, so the remaining amount, bein hakevesh v'lakosel u'mokam hananosin, you include the area between the ramp and the wall, and also the place of the pillars, and that will account for the remaining amos of the 135 amos. So in any case, if you do the math over here running along the width of the Azara, v'salka daitach, if you think Midos Rabbi Yehudi, that Meseches Midos is authored by Rabbi Yehuda, Mizbeach be'emtzo Azara mi mashkachas le, do you really find if you do these calculations that the Mizbeach is in the middle of the Azara? Haruba de Mizbeach bedarim kai. The majority of the Mizbeach is actually in the south. And as Rashi over here explains, Ruva de Mizbeach bedarim kai, the majority of the Mizbeach is going to be in the south. Again, it's not going to be exactly centered. Lefi minyan zeh, according to this calculation, Sharei chatzi rochav Azara shishim v'shiva v'chatzi. Now, the halfway point of the width of the Azara is going to be at 67.5 amos. That's half of the width of the Azara, which is 135 amos. So now let's do the math, starting from the northern wall to the nanosin. Shmona, that's 8 amos. From there to the tables is another 4 amos. Harei yud beis, that comes out 8 plus 4, that comes out to 12. Now there's another 8 tables, figure out how much that is. That brings us to 16 amos. Umisham tabos arba, now another 4 to the rings. Harei chaf, we're now at 20 amos. Umakom hatabos chaf daled, the area of the rings themselves is 24 amos. Harei mem daled, that brings us to 44 amos. Umin hatabos v'la mizbeach ches. another 8 amos to the Mizbeach. So starting from the northern wall, Harei Nun Beis, it comes out that the northern part of the Mizbeach begins at 52 amos from the north wall. Now remember, the midpoint is 67.5. Now, umakom hananosin yoda amos umechza. Now, Rashi takes a little bit of a side note here. How do you know how big the area of the nanosin is? He says it's 10.5 amos. Shuchatzi odef hanisha mehanoser. Because if you remember, the Mishnah did not enumerate all 135 amos. It was only 110. He had 25 amos to account for, and this is going to be half of what's unaccounted for. Shalomona the Mishnah, that wasn't counted in the Mishnah. Amos they count 110 amos from the ramp to the north. We have 25 unaccounted for. 4 of those unaccounted 25 go to the Shulchanos. So half of that 21 that's remaining is the nanosin. That's what we're talking about when we say that the Mokom Hananosin is 10.5. The last half of that that's unaccounted for is the amount between the ramp and the wall. In any case, it comes out that if you go from the Mizbeach to the northern wall, you have 62 amos. Now take 5 the 5 northernmost amos of the Mizbeach. That gets you to exactly halfway of the width of the Azar. In other words, if you go from the area to from the north wall of the Azara all the way 5 amos to the Mizbeach, that's going to be the midpoint. That is the point of 67.5 amos. Nimtza chav zayin amos min dromish al Mizbeach. So now it comes out that there's another 27 amos of the Mizbeach that are all going in the south side. Those are all in the southern half of the Azara. You've got 5 amos in the northern half, and you have 27 amos in the southern half. Now it comes out that the northern part of the Mizbeach ends. There's still a little bit of entrance you could see at the entrance of the Heichal. Same mimakom hamizbeach beis amos shel knisas hayesod v'asovev nimtzat tzafon chalal haPesach megula lamala mechnisas hasovev beis amos v'yachol liras kohen shabarosh haramishcha derech osen beis amos. That little 2 amos space, if you were standing there, you could see through the Mizbeach wouldn't block as Pesach HaEchel derech Pesach HaTachton. Now Rashi at the end goes through a few sveikos he has regarding these calculations, but the point is basically the same. The point comes out that the Ruba de Mizbeach Bedarim Kai, the majority of the Mizbeach is in the south, and according to Rabbi Yehuda, you would be able to see through the door of the eastern wall, and therefore it doesn't seem that Meseches Midos could follow Rabbi Yehuda. We'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Yud Zayin Amud Aleph.